Welcome back to my channel for another video, and welcome if you are new. Today I'm going to share with you guys about 5 with one bonus things that I do not do in my homeschool. I think the misconception that every homeschooler out there is doing all the things can lead to feelings of, inferiority, feelings of overwhelm. And so as a homeschooling mom of almost an entire decade, approaching graduation of my very first homeschool grad, I thought it would be good for me to sit down and share with you guys 5 things that I do not do in my homeschool, and I think some of them may surprise you. So the first thing that I do not do in my homeschool is a formal music lesson or a formal music study. And it's not because I don't value music. We love music in our family, and honestly, it's been something that my kids have expressed maybe a little bit of an interest in periodically through our homeschooling journey, but I have just never ever been able to take on another lesson to get to each week, and we have just never had music be the first priority in our homeschool. And I feel like that is pretty rare in the homeschooling world. I would say the majority of homeschooled kids, especially older kids, play some type of musical instrument, and it's amazing. And it's something that maybe one day I'll wish that I would have taken something else away to allow for that. But it's just something that is a good thing that we've wanted to maybe explore, but we've just never done it. And I feel like that is a pretty rare thing in the homeschooling world. So we have never done formal music lessons, and I'm not sure that we ever will. And that is okay, because there's wisdom in knowing when you can take things on and how much is too much and all of the above. So I'm not saying there's not benefit in formal music lessons. There definitely is. And it's a beautiful life skill to have. But again, you just can't do everything. And so that is something that we have never done in our homeschool. The second thing that we do not do in our homeschool that I feel like is pretty uncommon is attend a formalized co-op or a homeschooling group. Especially as kids get older, and then dependent upon the area of the United States that you live in. Some of you guys have amazing resources for high schoolers, and others have a lot less to choose from. And so we are in an area where there just is not too much good stuff for the older kids. And so we have really been on our own in our homeschool for the majority of our homeschooling journey, and we like it that way. We've really enjoyed it. Now, that's not to say that if there was a great, wonderful co-op and I lived somewhere else that we wouldn't, prioritize that, but it's just my experience that we do not attend any co-ops or homeschool groups. And I feel like that is a little uncommon as well. The third thing that I do not do in my homeschool that may surprise you is teach my children every single subject of their day. As my children have gotten older, I have pulled in different resources from different companies that I feel, are in line with what I want as far as academics and worldview and all of that. And so I do not teach my 3 oldest kids math. I do not teach my 2 oldest kids Spanish. I don't speak Spanish. I do not teach my 2 oldest kids science. I am not a biology teacher. Now, that's not to say that you couldn't teach biology to your high schoolers, because you very much could. But those have just been things that I have turned over to different resources. So I am not teaching every single thing in my homeschool every day anymore. My high schoolers navigate their history courses and we go over answers together, but they're pretty much leading themselves in these areas. And so I am not teaching every single thing in my homeschool anymore. The fourth thing that we do not do in our homeschool, which is a shocker, and it's an admission of guilt, is that we do not do every craft or experiment that whatever piece of curriculum I am using tells me to do. I don't think there's ever been one science unit from The Good and the Beautiful or one history course where there's a recipe or a dress up and act out scenarios, those kinds of things. Like I pick and choose what we do. I'm not someone that doesn't ever do that because I know how much my kids enjoy it, but I also do not do it every time the curriculum, has something there. And that has been true forever. I'm not a do all the crafts, do all the projects kind of mom. I'm a pick and choose kind of mom. And I feel like that is something that maybe homeschoolers don't want to admit, because there might be an element of feeling like your kids are missing out on if you're not doing all of those things. Now, I will say, even if you don't enjoy them, your kids do. So make it a priority to do some of them would be my advice. But I do not do every single craft or experiment when prompted to by my curriculum. And the fifth thing that I do not do in my homeschool is follow a timed schedule. So some homeschoolers will utilize time blocking, like 9 o'clock to 9:45 is Bible, math is 10:20 to 10:50. We've never, ever, ever done a schedule like that. And we just have a rhythm and flow, and we just move on to the next thing. And every child knows their rhythm and flow, so they just move on to their next thing. So no one is waiting on anybody else, and it's just been the best thing for us. It also really helps because depending on if we start at 8 or if we start at 9, it's not a big deal. And so we do not and have not ever followed a timed schedule in our homeschool. And the last little bonus that we have not and never have done, at least up until this point, is standardized tests. Thankfully we live in a state with very low regulation when it comes to this, and I, as the homeschooling parent, see my children learning. I read and grade their work. I see what they're covering on the things that I'm not actually teaching. And then the things that I am teaching, it's interactive. I'm with them right there. So I have never, ever, ever felt the need to have my children tested because, like I said, where I live, it is not required. And even a lot of colleges now are pulling away from using SAT and ACT scores, and I have a whole idea and theory on that, but that's another thought for another time. So with that even being like removed, it's really just kind of telling that standardized testing is not an efficient way to measure a child's knowledge or progress. And so I've never wondered, I've never thought, well, maybe we're behind, or maybe they won't know how to take a test, because my kids take tests in their coursework, so they definitely know how to test. I've just never needed to do a standardized test, and I feel like that might be uncommon in the homeschooling world. So I hope you guys enjoyed hearing some things that I do not do in my homeschool. I would love it if you shared something that you feel like is pretty common that you also do not do in your homeschool. Leave it down below. I feel like people reading through that would be encouraging to know, oh, other homeschoolers don't do that, or it kind of gives us the freedom as homeschoolers that sometimes we need to give ourselves to say, okay, I'm not going to do that. I don't have to do everything. I don't have to teach every subject. I don't have to have my kids enrolled in 500 extracurriculars. It gives us the permission to say no. So leave it down below in a comment. Give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video and you enjoy homeschool content from me. It's a free way to support my channel, and I will see you guys again really soon. Bye, friends.